coverage as we have just 10 races to go, but no playoff or chase format here. It's a full regular season points format. Well, I shouldn't say regular season. It's a full season points format. And here in this one today, we're at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Qualified on the pole, Tony Stewart, our foe for the championship, qualified in second. So we're both going to be starting at the front of the field here today. 250 lap race at Bristol. Should be a quick one. Food City 250. And without further ado, we're going to hop on into this. Currently coming in with a 39-point lead, so it's going to be very tight from here on out to the finish. And obviously, if in qualified second, we have to capitalize and do the best we can to stay up at the front of the field. And try to go out and lead some laps, win this race. Hopefully, lead the most laps, win the race, get the dominating max points today. Try to keep him from leading laps so he doesn't get any bonus points as well. One thing to note is that the first race at Bristol earlier this season, we had a fuel glitch, and it was on my 20 plus laps, if not more, at Bristol. I was only able to run about 80. I did fact check that. I wanted to go back earlier today, go back to that race to see if that was the case, because I thought I remembered it being the case, and it was. So if we do have that glitch again here today, we might have to pit an extra time in this race. And if that is the case, that could take us out of victory lane, because that race was 300 laps, and it took me almost the entire 300 laps to try to make that time back up, and this one's 50 laps shorter. So unless we have just that much quicker of a race car, it's going to be tough to win if we do have that glitch, but we'll have to wait and see. Also, we could end up getting cautions that go our way, because in the first race we didn't. And that kept us in the game as well. Excuse me. Got some phlegm in my throat today. I apologize for that. That was coughing it up. That might sound disgusting, but just to let you know, my voice is a little shot, I guess, for today. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into this race. MotoGP Merchant Wade, Ethan Chua, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Green flags in the air, and we are racing, and what a start this could be for Tony Stewart as he's up against the wall after contact from Boyer. He tried to take a swing immediately. Boyer knocked him up into the fence up off turn 2, tried to keep him from leading the lap, and Stewart tried to retaliate. And he somehow held in second place. I don't know how he stayed in second, but he did. I didn't see what my practice time was as far as where I ranked compared to the rest of the field, but with qualifying on the pole, I imagine we have a pretty good time. Felt good in practice. Obviously, felt good to qualify. Stewart may try to take a swing at me again here. I really didn't want him to lead that first lap. It was definitely dirty. For anybody that's been watching this series over the last couple of weeks, it's been very dirty. Mostly on his end, I will say. At times, I've gotten carried away. Chicagoland points out the most, I'd say. But he's not the only one mad at me either. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, obviously, as we get into lap traffic, because we know we're going to see a lot of that with this 8.5-mile short track today. Ryan Berwick, thanks for tuning in. Who else we got there in the chat? Anybody? Demons, yeah, thank you for that. Sorry. Every time I go to a live commentary stream, I have to get rid of all the open tabs that I have for the electronic stuff like this with the gaming side of things. And it already puts the volume on like full blast. Sometimes I remember to turn it down when I have to put the adapter back in, and sometimes I don't, and tonight I didn't. Apologize for that. It's probably going to be another Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer show. Probably going to be running first and second. Really ate into that lead. We had over a 130-point lead. Actually, it was a 145-point lead to be exact. 2 races ago, but we ended up finishing 33rd in the second to last race that we have ran. Stewart did not win that day. He finished 3rd, but obviously 30 positions ahead. He ate into that lead quite a bit, and then he beat us again in the last race. And here we are with just a 39-point lead all of a sudden. And he only gained 5 points on us last Thursday, which would have been the last gaming stream. I saw that very first comment in the chat, by the way, and I laughed like right before I started the stream. I think Ethan put it. It's like, you got to use Boyer and Harvick to manipulate your way to the championship. It's a hot topic after this weekend. Way to stay with the current times. Back to standard time till March. Yep. I will say for Daylight Savings Sunday, I felt like yesterday went by pretty quick. Maybe it's because my guy Ryan Blaney won a race and I was thrilled about it or something. I don't know. But even like the day leading up to the stream, for some reason, felt pretty quick. So what we're looking at in this race, the 300 lapper we had earlier this season with the glitch of having to pit early, we had to pit 3 times, the rest of the field pitted twice. This race we're looking at probably having to pit twice if we have that glitch again. They're going to have to pit more than likely just once. So it's going to be a lot less time for us to make up whatever difference we have to make up by pitting 1 extra time. Obviously, we've got speed in the race car. I mean, Stuart Boyer just kind of pulling away from the rest of the field. There's a couple others that are kind of hanging around back there, but nothing out of the ordinary. We won't know until we get to halfway out of gas in this run exactly how far we can go on fuel. Maybe we can go the full length. Maybe we'll have the glitch again. We'll just have to wait and see. I like this gap I have over Stewart, by the way, also. If I could keep this for as long as possible, that would be great, because he already took a swing at me after I got into him on the first lap, so. And he may try to turn us. Get those left side tires down on that black on the asphalt, below the concrete on the bottom of the racetrack, and really help steer the car through the center of the corner. It's like a grip strip down there. I got all 4 below at that time. Tired the last couple days. Well, you've been at work the last couple. Do you like work on the weekends then? On top of, I know you said you work nights, but is it like a weekend shift too? I'm thankful for myself that I was able to get off of weekend shifts about a year and a half ago, finally, for the first time in a while. Like, I always had Sundays off before, but I'd be working late Friday, you know, into the evenings and stuff, and all day Saturdays. And nice to have that back. This car's a little on the tighter side of things, but I don't mind it, because when I am able to hit my marks and get the left sides down in the asphalt, it turns perfectly fine. Where if I took wedge out of it or tried to free it up, I don't think I could run that line. And I really think that that's the best way around this track for me personally. May help for when we get into lap traffic as well, if I can run down there and stay down there. That's another thing too, though, is that I'm tight in clean air. When I'm a little bit off that bottom groove, you know, what is it going to be like when I'm in traffic and in dirty area, it might get even worse. We'll find that out pretty soon. We're closing in on lap traffic quickly. 30 laps in, haven't hit a lap car yet, but it's going to be fast approaching. I mean, Stewart's at a good spot. I mean, obviously he doesn't want me leading all these laps, but for his sake, obviously he's in second. And he's not that far off the lead that if I were to make a major mistake, then, I mean, he'd easily be right there. He's staying within a second. I can't really get ahead further than that. I'm wondering when we get into lap traffic if I can kind of bust open that lead a little bit more. .191 won that last lap, fastest lap of the race for Clint Boyer. Oh, here we go. First dose of lap traffic for the night. Our last two races have gone caution-free, so I'm not going to say that we're guaranteed a yellow today. Had 3 caution-free races all season, 2 of them back-to-back. Get by Denny Hamlin here. Kurt Busch towards the tail end of the pack. Just got to get through the lap cars cleanly and effectively. As I say, cleanly. Made a little contact with Kurt Busch. Slight bump and run. Drove it really flat there. I'm glad that lap car gave me enough room to make the corner. I had to get way out of the gas. Lap time dropped off quite a bit. It ran in the 15.4s last lap. The next lap picked it right back up into the 15.2s again. Lap 50. 200 to go at the line. I haven't hit halfway out of gas yet, so maybe we won't have the fuel glitch here today. I'm down for that. I mean, I was full on expecting that it was a possibility. Maybe the AI are the ones that are going to have the fuel glitch. Fuel glitch, not field glitch. The field will have the fuel glitch. Potentially. We might not have any glitches at all. Two-second lead now. Well, now to make this race on one stop, we have to make it at least 63 laps. Gone 55 so far. Think any penalties will come from Martinsville? Man, you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if NASCAR does in the middle of the week pull the trigger on maybe putting Larson in. I would lean towards them not making a change towards the playoff format, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it. It would definitely be shocking. I think if anything, penalties may be handed out to the teams that were involved in a race manipulation. I look at the three teams radio especially, and the reason why I say that is because the spotter, for instance, already had a prior offense for any sort of like race manipulation or anything of that nature already this season. And it would be a second offense deal. So I think they'll look into the Chevy part of it quite a bit. The only thing is, there was 10 laps to go, right around there, give or take, when Chastain and Dillon were side by side and basically kind of pinning the field of lead lap cars battling for position behind William Byron. We don't know exactly how many positions, if they were going 100%, Byron would have lost. Obviously, we could probably think that he would have had one position lost. Another reason why I don't think they're going to make any changes to this is because of the appeal process. So if they hand out any penalties towards like the playoffs themselves, you have to have time to be able to appeal the penalty. And with the Championship 4 already this weekend, I just don't, like, sure, it would have to be expedited, but I mean, you're talking like days before. Practice is on Friday. Like, yeah, the race is Sunday. We have practice for the championship race on Friday. So to hand penalties out on a Tuesday or a Wednesday in regards to changing the Championship 4 or who's in it, I highly doubt that that would be the case. But I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, the 23 team and the 1 and the 3 were all penalized in some way, shape, or form. I mean, we literally just saw, I think it was 2 years ago at the Roval, 2022, Cole Custer, that 41 team, suspensions were handed out. So I could definitely see personnel being suspended at the track this weekend for those teams. A little early off season for them, but some fines for sure. Because in the case, for instance, of like Logano getting in through the round of 8, if we're looking at consistency, like, oh, well, Bowman was bumped out, you know, after the race at the Roval at the end of the round of 12. Well, that was after post-race inspection later that night. It wasn't like middle of the week. when the 22 team found out, like they found out basically when they got back to Charlotte or before then, depending on, you know, when they were able to get the news. So it was within a short time frame. So I do think the Championship 4 is going to end up staying the way it is, for better or for worse, for right or for wrong, you know. At this point, I think they want the fans that were at the track and the fans watching the race on Sunday knowing who's racing for the championship when we left Sunday. There's been a lot of discussion all year, you know, about the playoffs in general. I think this year has probably been the worst for it as far as shenanigans, I would say, for going for or against the playoffs. I've always been a believer of, sure, it's not what I like. And for the longest time, I honestly thought that this was the best format of the playoffs that we had up to this point. You know, I've been saying that for the last couple of years, but this year has turned on, I've turned those thoughts around a little bit, I guess I would say. Kind of hard to put into words in the heat of the moment. I was expecting to have to talk about this tonight, but I haven't, like, put my full thoughts together, I guess, until, like, right now in the moment, but thanks to Logano being in the Championship 4, I mean, I've obviously seen, like, don't hate the player, hate the game being passed around a lot, and I truly believe that. You know, for instance, while I don't like comparing, you know, somebody winning a championship, for instance, before 2004 and after 2004, or the different formats of the chase and who actually won it, who didn't, by, you know, the fans like it. I do think a championship is a champion, or a champion is a champion. You know, no matter the format, they all play by the same rules. I just don't 100% agree with the rules the way they are, if that makes any sense. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. First caution of the race. Couldn't tell who it was. Fantasy driver of some sort. 174 car, it looks like. 114 maybe. Hard to tell with that number font. But we do have our first caution of the race today. And Boyer's going to stay out. Took us almost 80 laps to get that first yellow flag. Our first one in 3 races, might I add. And the green flag's back in the air again. Ryan Newman getting by the leader, Clint Boyer, on the restart. Reason why I didn't pit there, and I would assume why the rest of the field didn't pit, is because we're outside the field window to make it to the end of the race. Everybody's pretty much looking at pitting only one time, and that was not the time. I really didn't want to give up the lead to Stewart either in doing so. So I took the gamble that they were all going to stay out too, which they did. Our first caution in 3 races, though. Will not have a 3rd straight caution-free race. Stewart's still boxed in lap traffic back there. Boyer's trying to catch up to Newman and hopefully get by him. Newman's car bottoming out just a little bit. Almost 100 laps in. I think Newman's got a decent car now that he's in clean air. He's really holding his own pretty well. Can't find my way around him. Just ran a 15.1 that last lap. Putting some good lap times together. There we go. I got off turn 2 well that time. Pass made. 1.3 second lead. .164, fastest lap of the race. I will say, just to go back to like the playoff discussion and stuff, as somebody who used to race growing up, there are fans out there that say they don't buy as much stock into the championship as they do a week to week, you know, just watching the race kind of deal. I will say, no matter what the format has been, I've always maybe bought more stock into it because I did race growing up, and the idea of points racing has always been a part. Like I was always racing for track championships, so I paid close attention to that stuff. You know, I did care about where somebody else was running in comparison to me. Maybe not throughout the night because I was focused on what can we do to get this, you know, cart or a car set up that I could perform my best. But if I knew I was going into, because there were a couple years I did have close championship battles, you know, one I won, and there was another one I came up close and finished second. Especially in those closing weeks, it was a lot of fun just going to the track knowing that you were in the race and in the hunt for the championship and stuff. So I have, you know, since a really young age, always followed along with NASCAR championship, because obviously NASCAR is the premier motorsports I always watched as a kid, as many others. So even with this format, maybe not producing quote unquote the, you know, best driver as the championship, I do still buy stock into the points racing on a race by race basis, because I understand to a certain extent exactly, you know, what these teams are going through. The only difference was the only team was me and my grandpa, you know, every weekend from when I was 8 years old until I was 19. So for that reason, I wish that we could find a day and age, hopefully sometime sooner rather than later, where a vast majority of fans, at the very least, do care about who's champion. I really do think a lot of fans do care. There's a lot of fans that probably say they don't care, and I think that's because they don't care for the format it's produced in, and I think there's as much of a loud outcry with it because they do care and they want the legitimate guy winning the championship. They want to be able to follow the championship more than what they're kind of forced to under the parameters it's currently under. try to give a different point of view, I guess, of it from my own. Because I have seen a lot, trust me, I've seen a lot of stuff. Not just from the comment side of things, but even just other NASCAR YouTubers. And absorbing that while still trying to have my own thought process going through it as well. Because for the most part, when it goes to a week-by-week thing with NASCAR, and I get questions, especially like a Monday after the race like today, with that on the streams, I really try to put it in my own perspective as much as I can, not try to take other people's thoughts and opinions and plug them in as my own. Because I've always liked the discussion side of things. I've always liked when people, you know, especially in the sports world, we would not debate, you know, because I think sports media kind of pushes that narrative way too much. But just have a discussion, you know, and if we have our separate of opinion, I think it's cool because it gives me a different perspective to look at with a bunch of different stuff. You know, whether that be NASCAR related or other, you know, sports related. Ten laps away from halfway. I think our window is open to make it to the end of the race. If we were to get a caution now, I would definitely pit. We're pretty darn close. We'll definitely make it halfway. Still going to want to go as far as we can on fuel before we pit. And for the second time, Boyer getting into lap traffic now. Had that lone caution at lap 80, and here we are, lap 118, dealing with lap traffic at the back of the field once more. Bigger lead getting into lap traffic this time than we had before. Stewart really struggled on that last restart, trying to get to the inside lane with all the lap cars down there, and I was able to quickly find a hole in line behind Ryan Newman, who was the only lap car who got by us. It was pretty much as we were getting into turn one when that had happened. A dozen laps later or so, we got back by Newman and then pulled away. Very minimal contact, by the way, with other cars in this race. I don't think I've hit the wall once. 121 laps in now. I think I'm running a pretty darn good race. Well, we've led every lap, so obviously that's good. Keeping Tony Stewart from leading laps. I'm literally doing my job to the best of my ability tonight. Oh, way overdrove that. I thought I was going to sideswipe Biffle and somehow didn't. Cleared him next corner. I'm going to try to pronounce that name as best as I possibly can when I get a full chance to actually read it. During the next caution or a pit stop, whatever ends up coming next. But I see you, and thanks for watching. .8-second lead. So happy we didn't have to deal with a fuel glitch. I was up for the challenge, but I really think that would have hurt us. Honestly, that caution coming out right at lap 80 might have actually saved us if we were under that circumstance, just because we would have Well, it depends. Would I have pitted at that point or not have pitted yet? Because it would have been close. And if I would have already pitted, then it would have trapped me a lap or two down. Then that would have been a problem. Better that it just didn't play out that way, I guess. Tires definitely wearing out. Oh, little contact. Our teammate Kevin Harvick. Don't think he realized we were there. Harvick going a second lap down now. Having a rough go at it tonight. Jeff Burton, who's still outside the top 10 in points. 12th, I believe, coming in. About to go lap down. I don't remember lapping Burton earlier in the race. So he might be one of the cars at the tail end of the lead lap. The lap traffic's honestly helping me, I would say. We're getting through it smoothly enough. That we're actually pulling away. 3.8. Or we're kind of stagnated before we get into lap traffic as far as how far I can pull away from the car behind me. So that just tells me we're getting through lap traffic better than everybody else in the field. And that's where we're making the most time. As I say that, I just completely door slammed the car I'm trying to pass. It wasn't too bad. He's not mad enough to try to spin me out, so that's good. I haven't actually approached any rivals yet in this race. And speaking of which, oh boy. Big loose moment there. I think this is a side of... I probably made more contact with lap cars in the last several laps than I have the whole race. I think it's because my tires are starting to slowly wear out on me. This late in a run, I'm still trying to push as hard as I was as if it was the first 10 laps on the tires. We're going to have to pit, like, real soon. Our pit stop will have to take place on the front straightaway. That's where our pit box is at. We have to pull the trigger and pit soon. I don't want to be the first car down there, but it looks like I'm going to have to be because nobody's pit yet. Really don't want to get trapped a lap down if we get a caution in the middle of green flag stops, which we've seen before at this track. Just over a 4-second lead. Don't want to risk running out of gas. Even though it's a half-mile short track, that'll cost us time. And again, Boyer has led every lap of this race so far. I don't think they hit pit road during the only caution we had back at lap 80, but... Oh, near trouble. Off turn 2, a lot of smoke. We do still stay green. I'm going to stay out one more lap. We're going to pit next time by. Off of turn 4. Smoke's still settling off turn 2. Alright, on our way in. Solid pit road entry. 4 fresh tires, full tank of gas. Alright, let's see here. Catherine Rocio Rodriguez, is that how you say that? Let me know in the chat if I pronounce that correctly. Well, clean stop. Unfortunately, Boyer's a lap down for now. In 15th, got somebody blowing an engine down on the bottom of the track. Is that Newman? Looked like it might have been Ryan Newman. It was a position. Up to 14th now. Kyle Busch takes over as a leader. Luckily, it's not Tony Stewart for her own sake. And we've got a couple cars coming on to pit road. So with a little over 100 laps. I think Dale will win his second race, 24th race time. Well, this is race 26. And I'm just fighting through these guys. You gotta settle down. Settle down and reel it in. We don't need a caution. 100 to go. Matt Kenseth, who's not that many cars up in front of us, is the leader currently. So Boyer on these fresher tires really trying to drive up to him and get back on the lead lap as soon as he can. To the inside of Ron Hornaday for second place. Got him. Kenseth hasn't pit yet. And now he's pitting this time, and that will give Clint Boyer his lap back. Well, that's good. Back on the lead lap, I didn't notice Tony Stewart leading any laps during the green flag. Pit cycling near crash going into turn one. And ran into Elliott Sadler. I didn't realize he checked up that much. And Denny Hamlin and J.J. Yaley, a couple of Joe Gibbs Chevrolets get together. I think they ran into the back of that 108 car who was coming out of the pits on the bottom of the track and caused a near accident. More cars slowing up on the bottom of the track. Look out. I checked up that time. Well, being the first to pit road and everything cycling through, we actually pulled ahead a couple extra seconds. We were 4.5 seconds ahead when we first pit. Now we're about 7.5 seconds in front of second place. So there was time gained there. Thankfully, it did cycle through. We didn't get trapped a lap down. And honestly, with as big of a lead as we have now, just needed to stay green to the finish. I'm not sure exactly when you stepped out, but we had a caution at lap 80. It was our only yellow of the race. And the only laps we haven't led were during green flag pit stops. Saw Kenseth leading some laps. Kyle Busch led some laps. I'm not sure who else may have led outside of those two. And obviously ourselves. We've already clinched the most laps led as a result of this. And we have 89 laps to go this time by. Try to retake my throne of being the short track king. Half hour ago. Yeah, so you might have missed that caution then. Fantasy driver spun off turn 2. I think it was the 174 because I passed the 174 car and it kind of looked like that number font. There may be a 114 car, there may not be. I really don't know. We'll take our first field pass at the line this next time by. Jeff Burton right in front of us. We'll swap to him first. Actually, we'll swap to Kevin Harvick first. He's not that far in front of us. Currently 2 laps down. In 29th. 29 car in 29th. See your comment, I can't talk. See the comment that you put earlier? I'm not sure exactly which one you're talking about, but I'm assuming I know the one that you're talking about. And if you want to message me about it on Instagram, you can. I personally just don't want to discuss it with, people watching, I guess. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, that just happened. We didn't get a caution for that. Probably going to get another yellow here pretty soon. As we swap to Jeff Burton in the 21. And Harvick's pitting. He might be done. He might be done. That was a big-time hit. I'm really hoping he returns. He was in 29th. Now Jeff Burton's in 29th. Burton gets one of his 3 laps back. Well, Kevin Harvick's back on track. That's good. Bad news is he dropped 12 more spots, and now he's back to 41st. Having to pit an extra time during green flag conditions compared to the rest of the field. I'm glad he took one for the team in the sense that he pitted under green instead of staying out, forcing a debris caution while we were in the lead. Unfortunately, he's 4 laps down. We lost 2 more laps and 12 positions. And I don't know that he's going to get any of those positions back unless somebody DNFs. That'd be the only way. The only reason he's not in dead last is because we have had 2 drivers to blow an engine already. I know Dale Jr. was one of them real early in the race. I don't know who the other driver was, though. What do you mean no football this week? They like canceled the game tonight or something? We'll probably be flipping it back and forth between Monday Night Raw and the Monday night game tonight. Probably not going to win in either of my fantasy leagues. I think this is going to be the first week I'm going to lose both leagues in the same week. 6-2 in my work league and 5-3 in the other league I'm in, my bigger money league. And I don't think I've... Oh, you're talking about the Packers. Well, I mean, the race is obviously on Sunday, so I'm actually kind of glad. I like when the Packers have a bye during racing season, so I don't have to miss an extra game. I mean, yeah, they're on a bye. It's actually kind of perfect that it's the championship week of all weeks, too. Wish they would have had more primetime games earlier in the year. A lot of their primetime games are in the back half of the season. They have like 4 more yet, but the only one they had was that Friday night at week 1. Yeah, I'll check that message later tonight. But yeah, business as usual as far as racing. Got one more week yet. Well, still got a 5.8 second lead. It was as much as almost an 8-second lead during this run. I think Boyer got held up a little bit when Harvick went nearly upside down. He was driving on the wall. Still didn't get a caution for it. Obviously, whoever was in second never caught up to any of that. Harvick's almost 5 laps down. I didn't even realize he was that far in front of us. Ouch. Well, it was my fault. He's going to lose 3 of the 5 laps. I thought he was having a great night before that. 2 laps down to 29th, but we made a good, not a good day, a bad day worse, I guess, for the sake of Harvick. 59 laps to go. 19th year. I'm assuming while watching NASCAR next year. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream. 55 to go. Way more spaced out now. Got out of the brunt of the lap traffic. I haven't mentioned about it at all in this stream, but I know it's in the thumbnail. About Roush Fenway Racing having some dominance here as of late. I didn't really realize it till, you know, looking at it this weekend, I guess, when I was setting the thumbnail up for the stream for tonight. They've won 5 of the last 8 races between 2 cars. The Biffle hasn't even won one of them. Between Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth for Roush Fenway Racing on this Busch Series season, they've won 5 out of the last 8 races. 3 of them for Martin, 2 for Kenseth in that stretch, and we have 2 wins in that stretch as well. But trying to put an end to it. Last 2 races have been won by Roush yet again. Mark Martin has won back-to-back. So he was trying to go for 3 in a row here today, but I don't think that's going to happen. I believe he is just 2 cars in front of us, so he's about to go a lap down. Although with not many cars on the lead lap with how long this green flag run has gone, I think he's still going to end up with a pretty decent finish. Buddy lives in Texas. Yeah, I'm hoping to go to Coda next year, ideally. I've been meaning to go there for the last couple seasons now. Just because I know people that live down in Houston, and it's only about an hour-and-a-half commute to get to Austin. I might have that wrong. I think 2.5 hours, excuse me, not hour and a half. Something like that. I don't know. It was a couple years when we were originally planning on going, but no, I am thinking about pulling that trigger next year, especially with it being earlier in the season. Kind of space out a few races. Definitely going to more next year than what I did the last couple seasons. Only went to 3 last year, 1 this year, but I'd definitely be back to going to more. But for when I'm planning on moving next year, though, it being that early in the season helps with me. Most of the races I'll probably be going to next year would be late in the year or early in the year. More than likely. Not as much throughout the summer. Parents are trying to get 500 tickets. Well, I mean, the races they've gone to this year, they've seen some instant classics. So if they go to the 500 next year with that good luck on their side, might have another instant classic. Mark Martin's been within sight of us for quite some time, but he's doing the best he can to try to stay on the lead lap. Not holding Boyer up at all. Boyer hasn't really got close enough to get held up behind him. In fact, that lead is stretched right back out to about 7.7 seconds again. And a move for Boyer to the inside of Kenseth. Maybe picking him behind the 77 of Bernie Lamar. I know I haven't lapped Stewart at all. And I would imagine we've lapped inside the top 10, so he's going to get a good finish. But I don't think he's going to be getting any bonus points, so that's big for us. Dad gets a veterans discount. Well, that definitely works. I may end up going back to Atlanta next year because I actually got something in the mail today about discounts for tickets for either race. But if I end up going to COTA, it'll probably be the summer race I would go to then. I don't want to go to the summer race though, and the only reason for that is because it's on Amazon Prime, and I really want to capitalize on streaming the Prime races because I feel like I'm going to do, I feel like those numbers on those races are going to do really, really well. And I'm already missing one of them by going to Michigan because that'd be one of the Prime races. So if I go to Atlanta also, that's going to be two. Or, you know what? Now I think about it, I think Atlanta is actually TNT opener. My bad. Well, maybe I will go to that one then. I had it flip-flopped. I was thinking TNT was before Prime. Prime's before TNT. Yeah, that starts the TNT schedule because that's the first race of the in-season tournament. Yeah, somebody... Yeah, I caught myself on that one. Well, I guess summer race might actually work better. I know I just talked about not going to any summer races, but I definitely wouldn't be able to go to that first Atlanta race if I go to COTA because they would be back-to-back weeks. I've gone to back-to-back races before, but they've been both within driving distance. Atlanta's like a 10-hour drive for me. And I'd have to fly to COTA. So, yeah, I don't know that that's going to be feasible. Although I did go to Daytona and Auto Club back-to-back weeks, so I guess anything's possible, but... we'll see. 29 laps to go at the line. 9.2 second lead now for Clint Boyer. It's about almost 2/3 of a racetrack ahead. Just ran our fastest lap, 15.162, about halfway through the fuel run. Tires aren't wearing out immensely yet. 45 minutes from Texas Motor Speedway. Yeah, it's pretty easy drive. $10 for $1. Wow. dang. I never really cared for McDonald's chicken nuggets. Quite frankly, I think they're overrated. But, that might rub people the wrong way. As somebody who used to work at McDonald's, I don't know. I never really cared for them. I'm not a big chicken nugget guy, though, in general. Like, if I go somewhere fast food, I'm getting a burger 9.5 times out of 10. Or a sandwich of some sort. If it's not a burger, it's a chicken. Like, I'm getting a sandwich probably 10 times out of 10. I'm never getting nuggets. But I always thought of the fast food places that McDonald's, I don't want to say have the worst chicken nuggets, because I haven't tried many others, but I've had better at other fast food places. I feel like there isn't much chicken inside the nugget. Anytime I've gotten them, at least. Oh boy, we got trouble. Tony Stewart just lost his lap, too. I don't know how that happened, but we had some slow cars down the back straightaway, and that's going to allow Boyer to lap quite a few more cars. Mark Martin, Aaron Crocker, Tony Stewart all going a lap down. I don't know if Crocker slowed them up. But if we were to get a late race caution, that takes even more players out of it. For our own sake, knowing Stewart's a lap down now, too, that's huge. Hopefully he doesn't get in the free pass position either. Martin's in that free pass spot right now. I must have lapped Kenseth earlier then, thinking that I passed Martin. I doubt I've lapped Martin twice in the span of like 20 to 30 laps. I'd like to believe that that's just not the case. Severe weather in your forecast? Well, hopefully nothing too dangerous out there. I know the winds were whipping at my place today. Very gusty. I was outside for a whole like 2 seconds in the morning and 2 seconds in the afternoon. Just enough to like put the trash can out in the morning and then bring it back in. That's all I've been outside for all day. Been in hibernation mode most of the day. $13 to go. Well, tomorrow night we go to California. Back to another 2-mile track. We had a good run at Michigan. Racing there last week. Finished in 3rd. Not a bad race by any means. But I didn't feel we had the race-winning speed. Martin, who ended up winning the race and leading the most laps, definitely had the best car. Martin getting the max points day and back-to-back wins in these last 2 races coming into this one. Now that he's the first car 1 lap down, he's really taken out of it. Even if we get a yellow, he'd be at the tail end of the field with a free pass situation. And now just 9 laps to go for ourselves as well. Just hoping to get to the white flag at this point. Have a drought going on lately? You know, I don't think it's rained here that much lately either. They were calling for rain, I think, like last Thursday, and I don't think it ever rained. I don't recall it raining at all through the weekend. Friday through today. I think Jeff Burton's going to be the last lap car we're going to catch. And I think he's about to go 4 laps down. Tough day for RCR, not named Clint Boyer. This will be the 14th win of the season for Boyer. And even with 14 wins to Tony Stewart's 0 wins, I think Stewart's going to end up with at least a top 10 finish to keep the points championship bout tight. Going into California, a track where he could get that first win tomorrow, especially if Boyer has an off performance. Knowing that that is very well possible at that track for us. Well, I guess we're going to catch Biffle after all. Thought Burton was going to be the last car we'll catch it past. Not the case. Biffle loses another lap. White flag in the air now. 1 lap to go. Won't have to worry about a green-white checker tonight. Very satisfying victory for Clint Boyer. Dominates, leads well over 230 laps and gets the win. From the pole, fast in practice, fast throughout the race. We're going to save this bad boy and just give the old Polish victory lap. Tony Stewart finished 4th. Only 2 cars finished on the lead lap. Clint Boyer, Kyle Busch, that was it. Nobody else. 241 of 250 laps led. That's crazy. 5 lead changes, 1 caution. 119.81 mile per hour average race speed. 12.1 second margin to victory. 1 hour, 6 minutes, 43 seconds total time on this race today. Led all but 9 laps. Max points day, of course. As I mentioned, Kyle Busch led during green flag pit stops. He led for 4 laps. No laps led for Tony Stewart, as mentioned. Matt Kenseth led the other 5. I think we had 3 different leaders and somehow 5 lead changes. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, but considering that the other 2 guys only led at 1 time, we probably had 3 lead changes then. So Mark Martin finishes in 3rd. 3 straight top 3s at the very least for him, despite not leading a lap today. Tony Stewart, still saw points even though he didn't lead a lap. Finished 4th after starting 2nd. Matt Kenseth finishes in 5th. Elliott Sadler 6th. Hans Good 7th. Kenny Wallace 8th. J.J. Yaley 9th. And Aaron Crocker rounds out the top 10. I will say, though, for Tony Stewart, us putting that bump and run on him on the first lap of the race, he had a very good chance of leading that first lap. He had a great launch on the initial start on that outside lane, and he almost cleared us off too, and I clipped him off the exit of turn 2, and then he scraped the wall, and I was able to clear him after he came back down the track trying to wreck us. So, never saw him again the rest of the race, thankfully. I mean, I saw him in the rear view, but he wasn't close enough to try to wreck us again after that. And then we lapped him late when Crocker kind of stacked everybody up. That's weird, too, by the way. She was in 3rd when she stacked everybody up, and then she ended up... Oh, no, you know what? She was already a lap down. Never mind, because she finished 2 laps down in 10th. So, yeah, she must have gotten the wall, and then they had to check up behind her or something. I still don't know what that was exactly. Our teammates, Jeff Burton, 32nd, 4 laps down. Kevin Harvick, 40th, 5 laps down. Yikes. And Norton Ryan Newman, who I thought blew an engine. It looked like Newman earlier, and he did. And Dale Jr. were the 3 drivers at DNF today with engine failures. And again, just that 1 caution for the 174 car. So, with Stewart getting a 4th place finish, even with us winning, we're not going to gain many points on him. Should have a little bit over a 50-point lead. Maybe 60. Got a 300-mile, 150-lap race at California Speedway tomorrow night. 69. 69-point lead. Aaron Crocker finished 10th tonight. Now 813 back in third. Pretty tight race for third, though, between Crocker, Kenny Wallace, Jeremy Mayfield. Wallace moved up a spot from, I think he was in 5th coming into the night. Now he's in 4th. Harvick falls to 8th, losing 2 spots in points. Martin up to 6th now. And Jeff Burton somehow gained a spot to 11th. You know what? He was already in 11th because Kyle Busch finished in 2nd. He was in 12th the race before that then and then picked up a spot. Still hoping that he can get a top 10 points finish before the season's out. He's creeping in on 10th. Kurt Busch had an off day today, which saved Burton. Otherwise, Burton might have had a shot to get up into the top 10 for the first time this season. 9 races to go. 3 more this week. 4 or 5 more or so next week, and probably end up finishing the season the week after. Appreciate everybody tuning in as always. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I will see you guys tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern for that California Busch race. And thanks for watching again. Have a good rest of your Monday night. And go Blaney. Championship week, baby.